Altenew friends, it's another Perfect Pairings with Jaycee for December 2019. The Perfect Pairing series is where I will show you a new product from this month's release and pair it with an old favorite or one that you have yet to discover. I'm always open to suggestions for what you would like to see on this series, so please let me know of an old set you would like me to use in the comments below. Today I am working with Modern Fox Stamp and Die Set. Now this was a new stamp set for November 2019, but bear with me. This 4x6 stamp set is perfect on its own for wintry scenes, but the sentiments included in this stamp set span non-wintry occasions, so this one is great for year-round cards or stamp projects. However, today I am going to pair this Modern Fox Stamp and Die Set with Layered Snowflakes Die Set for all of you who need last-minute holiday cards. Layered Snowflakes Die Set is a set of 5 snowflake dies that reduce in size incrementally, so that they layer on top of each other to create a complex snowflake, or use each die on its own for a perfectly shaped and bold snowflake. In December 2019, Altenew released 3 new ink families, one of which being Tranquility Layering Crisp Die Inks. Now, this ink set has immediately become my new favorite. I love a warm, dark blue, anything similar to Payne's Gray. So I'm using this ink family to color my main images, as well as the Seashore Layering Cardstocks from Altenew for a monochromatic, non-traditional holiday card. So to begin making my perfect pairing, I'll work on the Layered Snowflakes die set first. I love using this die set for my personal card stash because I get to use my smaller scraps of paper to make snowflakes, layer them, and add them to a card front for a quick and easy card. With the addition of the mini Blossom die cutting machine from Altenew, I can sit comfortably at my desk and crank away instead of fussing with my larger machine. Okay, so let's see. As I'm doing this, I'll share a design tip with you all and what I was thinking for this card. Since this card is monochromatic, it's important to play with textures and dimension to create visual interest. The layered snowflakes are going to help give a lot of texture to this card, but I will also embellish this card, which I will show you towards the end. But for now, this is one visual element to my card. Within the layered snowflake, you'll see I'm using vellum, silver foil cardstock, and now the colored cardstock. The vellum, foil cardstock, and color are going to create texture and one of a few focal points to my card. Now that I have all 5 pieces cut, I'll work on assembling this element. I'll start with the largest snowflake as my base, add glue to the center of the snowflake, and layer the next largest snowflake on top, rotating the second snowflake to create a 12-pointed shape. I'll keep repeating this process of gluing down the next largest snowflake and rotating the cardstock so that all the images show when fully assembled. I'm basically following the layering guide included with the die set, and there you go. Here's the final layered snowflake. Let's work on the Modern Fox Stamp and Die Set. Okay, so here is Modern Fox Stamp and Die Set. I love this set because the fox image itself is great on its own and spans all seasons. But for this project, I'll use both the layering fox and the layering evergreen to build my wintry scene. First thing I'll stamp from this set is the fox in Nimbus from the Tranquility family of inks. Then I'll grab the paw and face layers and stamp those in jet black dye ink. These images are easy to line up by following the curvature of the ears and eyes for the face, and then the paws to the empty space for the legs. I'll set that aside and work on the evergreen image. Now, here's another design tip for you all. I have this very large solid image for the first layer of the tree. I can stamp this in a solid color and that's fine. But to create added texture and visual interest, I'm going to add dimension to this image by creating a gradient. So in addition to the MISTI Morning ink, I'll use one of these ink blending sponges. What I'm doing is adding ink to the perimeter of the solid image, and once I feel like I have adequate coverage, I'll use my ink blending tool to dab and diffuse the ink toward the uninked portion of my stamp. Then I'll swing the door of the MISTI over and stamp onto my cardstock. I'll do this one more time to get adequate saturation for this first color. Then I'll do this entire process again with Cloudy Sky, but this time I won't diffuse the color as far as MISTI Morning, so that when I stamp this darker ink into my cardstock, you'll see that the lighter color still shines through. I'm going to do a similar action for the branch and trunk image. So I'm taking Nimbus ink and forming my first solid layer. Then I'll take Dark Night and only ink up the trunk of the stamp and diffuse it with the ink blending sponge. That's what I'm showing you here since it's hard to see on top of the black glass mat. So now that's both images done from the Modern Fox stamp set. I'll take my Mini Blossom die cutting machine back out and die cut both these images with the coordinating Modern Fox dies. Okay, sweet. So here are my 3 focal elements on this card. The large evergreen, layered snowflake, and blue fox. The odd number of images plus this triangular arrangement are going to give me an aesthetically pleasing and visually interesting grouping on my card. Now let's work on a background. I have a fresh cardstock panel cut to 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. Using Misty Morning and Cloudy Sky, I'll create a spotlight blend on the center of my cardstock panel. I have the same ink blending sponge and I'm just working my way out from the center to get this soft colored spotlight on my background. Now, I'm not the best at ink blending, but it's okay. I know I'll be covering most of this with the stamp images anyway. To break up a little of the spatial symmetry of this card, I'm going to add splatters to 2/3 of my background. I'm doing this by pressing Dark Night into my glass work surface and adding clean water to the ink that remains on the glass. I find 1 drop of water from my glass pipette is more than enough. Then I'll take a fine-tipped water brush and tap about 3 to 4 inches above my ink-blended cardstock. So again, to break up the visual spatial symmetry of this card, I'll add some black embroidery floss and loop it around on my background. I'm going to let the adhesive from the die cut images glue the floss down so that the open loops curl and move on my card front. But for now, I'll set this whole thing aside as I work on my sentiment. I will simply create a vellum sentiment strip using one of the sentiments in the Modern Fox stamp set. I have a scrap piece of vellum here that's been treated with an anti-static powder. Then I'll stamp the Cold Days Warm Heart sentiment in obsidian pigment ink from Altenew and immediately lay clear embossing powder over it and heat set it. This is my favorite way to get black heat embossing. Okay, so now I have all my elements on this card. Assembling everyone is super easy. First, I'll overlay the black embroidery floss and glue down the evergreen tree. Then I'll adhere the snowflake. Then I'll add the vellum sentiment strip and hide the liquid adhesive underneath the bold letters as well as where the fox will sit. Then I'll foam mount the fox to the left of the sentiment so that it looks like it's looking at the sentiment. And off camera, I added some black sequins just to break that visual symmetry even further. And that's it. Modern Fox and layered snowflakes are a perfect pairing and have made this monochromatic and dimensional holiday scene, perfect for the ones you love most. And bonus, I actually made the same card in the Sugarplums Crisp Die family of inks, also new from December 2019, and shades of purple layering cardstocks. If you all have suggestions on your older Altenew favorites you would like featured on this series, please leave them in the comments below. Make sure you like this video, share it with your Altenew friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another Perfect Pairings with Jaycee, and I'll see you in the next one.